This is Jay Martin.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Jay Martin here, and I'm joined for the first time by Jorge Ganoza, the president and CEO of Fortuna Silver Mines. Jorge, I'm really excited to chat with you and get this story in front of my audience. Thanks so much for making the time today.
Jay, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you and your audience. I'm excited to be here.
Good, yeah, because there's a few opportunities in the market right now that I think are screaming value. We know when capital begins to flood back to the precious metal sector, where it's going to go first. It's going to go to companies with a few producing assets and exploration upside. And that's what I see in Fortuna, run by a management team that I've got a lot of confidence in for the right reasons. I want to hear the story from you, Jorge. If you're talking to a prospective shareholder that hasn't heard the Fortuna story at a super high level, how would you introduce Fortuna Silver Mines?
No, we are a diversified mid-tier producer, established in two of the most productive gold and silver regions in the world. We operate with, high margins, and our mission here is to provide investors with good optionality to precious metals at the end of the day. And what do I mean by that? We want to be a strong call option for our investors. We all have expectations on higher metal prices, but those might take time to materialize. In the meantime, we might have to have a resilience and tolerance for corrections or whatnot. Our job is to be here every day, we will thrive in a rising precious metals price environment, but we will also do well in a down cycle, right? Investors can time when they go into the stock and then when they go out, but we as miners are here every day. I myself I'm the fourth generation miner in my family. And as I joke, I've been long precious metals 4 generations now. We want to provide that good optionality with resilient assets, low cost, so we can thrive in a rising price environment, but we can also be resilient in a down cycle or through a correction, right? So that's what we want to offer our investors. And we have 4 operating mines, a 5th one joining the producing portfolio soon. We can talk about later in the interview, but that's what we want to offer our investors. A good vehicle to participate in a rising precious metals market, right?
I like that. Now, as you said, yeah, you're a veteran in the sector and come from a lineage of veterans in the sector. So this isn't your first down cycle. Talk to me about how Fortuna is set up to weather storms like this, Jorge, when the macro fundamentals are all pointing to what should be a strong gold and silver market, yet the gold and silver prices aren't performing as we expect them to. How is Fortuna built to weather storms like this, and how do you carry your shareholders through?
It's all about, first, it's a combination of two: quality of assets, quality of the teams, right? We have assets. Fortuna has never divested of an asset through an acquisitions. We have never divested of an asset. Why? Because they all perform. So first, from our decision to deploy capital to develop mines and assets, I think we're very careful on where we invest. So I would like to think we're good stewards of capital. We like to be established in mining jurisdictions, and people. I am myself a mining engineer and a geological engineer, and we're like to be very technical about the business. This is a very demanding business on the technical side, and we are ever measured against heightened standards on multiple other aspects that we can group under the concept of environmental and social governance. So we are up to that. It's about resilient assets and experienced teams that drive a difficult business on a technical and professional manner. And that's what we Fortuna is made up of 5,000 people that make the company happen every day. No, and I am proud to lead this group for the past 17 years, and and we have grown the company significantly, and we're quite resilient to down cycles and whatnot, as we have proven. Every mine we bring into the portfolio and we develop is producing today and looking healthy.
Well, let's get into these assets a little bit. When you talk about the mining jurisdictions, we're talking about the Americas, Central and South America, and West Africa. So let's start in Argentina with what I believe is your first producing gold mine, the Lindero mine in Argentina, and still today produces about half of your gold output. Do I have that correct? Over 100,000 ounces per year?
Yes. It produces close to half of our output. Yes, today.
Close to half of gold output, yeah.
Argentina is a mine that or Lindero mine in the province of Salta, that's northern Argentina. It's a mine transiting its second year of production. It's a mine that we commissioned through COVID and ramped up through COVID, so that was quite challenging for the team and the company. But we're producing this year. That mine is set to produce 120,000 ounces of gold at an all-in sustaining cost of $1,100, with some opportunities to end up the year below 1,100.
Okay.
For the but so it's a gold porphyry with 13 years of life in reserves, plus significant exploration upside and other resources. So I envision this mine operating for 15 years plus, right? I mean, that would be based on reserves and resources management's expectation, right?
Okay, interesting. So if I heard that right, 104,000 ounces produced in 2021, looking forward to around 120,000 ounces in 2022, around $1,100 all-in sustaining cost. That might come down, and at present around 13 years current
in
mine
reserve.
life. In
Yes.
reserves, in present reserves. Okay. All right. Now, we're in Argentina, we're in Peru, we're in Mexico.
Yeah.
Within the Americas, there's good geographic diversification. How does that buffer you? And where do you want to go next? I want to introduce all assets today, so we can go to Mexico, we can go to Peru. Where should we go next?
From the strategic point of view, let me stress that we're established in mining jurisdictions and in LATAM and West Africa. So, and let me introduce a concept here. Mining has always been a frontier business. It continues to be a frontier business. So some of these jurisdictions to some investors sometimes seem, in some cases, remote and even exotic and politically unstable to some degree. But as I stress, mining is a frontier business, and we're very comfortable. But frontier business or not, we want to be in a mining jurisdiction. So we can go to Mexico. Mexico is a country with a long and proud mining tradition, and we operate the San Jose Silver Gold Mine in there since 2011. We brought that mine into production in September 2011. It's a significant underground mine with 3,200 tons per day throughput capacity, and this year is scheduled to deliver around 5.5 million ounces of silver and some 36,000 ounces of gold. If we look at cost from an all-in sustaining perspective, the all-in sustaining cost estimate for this year is $15. But we have some capital projects within that all-in sustaining figure. If we look at the cash cost per ounce measure on a per ounce basis, that mine operates at around $10 to $11 per ounce today. Right.
Okay. Well, how is that? Where is that variance? How do you get from 15 to 10 or 11?
Yes, it's capital, sustaining capital, expansion of tailings facilities,
okay,
underground mine development.
Got it.
That eventually is amortized. So that when we all-in sustaining cost is a common industry measure that groups two concepts. the actual cost to break the rock and run it through the mill to produce the metal, plus the annual investments required to make those operations sustainable over time, right? Yeah.
Okay. Now the Caylloma mine, if I'm saying that right, in Peru, right? It's more of a polymetallic, I believe, silver, zinc, lead, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now Peru's gotten a lot of heat lately for the, I guess the election climate. And I think there's been something like 5 presidents in the last 6 years in Peru. So personally, I don't put a lot of weight on the current candidate, but how are you navigating that? And then let's touch on the operating mine in Peru.
Yeah. So I go back to the previous concept that I put out. No, we are all of our operations are established in jurisdictions where over time what we see is a long and proud mining tradition, right? These are jurisdictions that understand mining, where over time you develop mining. In a jurisdiction like that, you can have, a government for a 4 or 5 year term, depending where you are, that is not as receptive to investment in mining or whatever. But you, over the long term, it's proven that it's a good, solid mining jurisdiction with upheavals. It's different than investing in a country that does not have a mining tradition, does not have a collective view on its what the industry means to the country and the communities, and then you have a 5 year term where they want to promote it.
Yeah.
So Peru is a country just like Mexico with a long and proud mining. Yes, there's been a lot of political instability, as you well pointed out, 5 presidents in 6 years. But our business continues running strong. We never seen a disruption, nor with the operations, nor with the permitting process. I know there has been some companies facing challenges, not in our case, and we're comfortable. We've been operating in Peru since 2006, the Caylloma mine, right? So, and Caylloma, by the way, is a company that helps accompanies the narrative of Peruvian history. It's a mine that's been operating for 500 years. It's really an incredible asset and continues giving. It's not our largest producer. It's not our largest contributor to free cash today, but certainly an asset that continues to perform and give every year. Right?
Interesting. Okay. Now, what inspired the expansion to West Africa? I mean, you're sort of known as an America's producer. You're now in Burkina Faso with the production and producing mine, and you have some exploration upside just west of your project in Burkina Faso. So I want to talk about both of those and the trigger point to move to West Africa.
Yes. Thinking long term, we assess the future of the business, and to help grasp on our thinking, let me share with you a fun fact, like my daughters say to me sometimes, a fun fact. If you group the geography or draw an outline around the near neighbors of West Africa, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Guinea, and the gold producing region of Mali, which is southwestern Mali. If you group that geography, Jay, that geography is the size of the state of Texas, right? That's how big it is.
Yeah.
And that geography produces 380 tons of gold annually. That would make it the largest gold producer in the world. The top 5 gold producing countries in the world are, the US, China, the US, Canada, Australia, Russia. Those are the 5 largest producing nations in the world. The 5 are, continental scale countries.
Yeah.
And this small geography, the size of the state of Texas, produces more gold than any of those jurisdictions. So over the last 20 years, West Africa has established itself as a force in gold. There is no other jurisdiction in the world that can exhibit the kind of growth in resources, reserves, and production as West Africa. So as we scouted strategically for opportunities to seed our growth for the next decades, where should we go? No? You find quality assets in jurisdictions that, although they might see political instability come and go, and we need to have stomach for that.
Yeah.
The one common thing is that all of these nations over time continue supporting the development of responsible mining. So by acquiring Roxgold last year, we put a strong beachhead in this most exciting gold producing region in the world. And who are we joining in West Africa? We're joining Barrick, Newmont, Anglo Gold, Endeavor Mining, B2 Gold.
Yeah.
All forces in the precious metal space. So, we are quite happy about this move. We had to endure some short-term pain in the market for long-term gain because, investors were seeing Fortuna more as a Latin American-centric producer.
Sure.
So we kind of broke the mold. But you know what? You never make a change if you don't break sometimes the rules, right? So we are willing to take some short-term pain for long-term gain. And I think, we're doing well.
Yeah, well, retail investors always, we gravitate towards simplicity, right? And so once you change the narrative, it can take a bit of positioning, right? To retell the story in a new way and convince retail that nothing material has changed in a negative way. We're just expanding and here's what that looks like. And I could understand maybe some insecurity if they identify you as the expert in Latin America. Well, what are you doing in West Africa? That's out of your field of expertise. But at the end of the day, your field of expertise is gold and silver. And I like the neighborhood that you're in. Okay, so what we've covered so far, I think in 2021, if I have the numbers correct, we produced around 7.5 million ounces of silver and around just over 207,000 ounces of gold. Those numbers probably will stay relatively similar in 2022. Some mines are producing more, a couple slightly less. How do we expect those numbers to shift moving forward?
We're building our fifth mine. So we have seen growth in 2022 with respect to 2021.
Yeah.
But the material growth comes with our fifth mine.
That's right.
Which is Séguéla. We will talk about that, I'm sure. And it's not only more ounces, that will be our highest margin operation. So we're increasing ounces that come with increasing margins. Right? And Séguéla is strategic to us on many fronts. Material, significant annual production in the range of 130, 140,000 ounces of gold annually, at all-in sustaining costs under $1,000, with a life of reserves that help us project the mine today for a decade, right? And tremendous exploration upside. And we can also talk about that. So 2023 and onwards look very, very good, very strong. I never seen Fortuna in all these years as strong as it looks today.
Right. Well, let's spend some time there because, Séguéla, I didn't know you're looking at your highest margin. I knew you're looking forward to production mid-2023. The gold numbers are pretty exciting, 130,000 ounces annually with a pretty low cost. So talk to us about the asset. Jorge, please.
Yes. First, let me update you on where we are with the construction.
Please.
Right? As of today, we're 78% complete with construction. We published a news release a few days back, and as of the end of August, we were 74% complete, but as of my latest report, we're 78% complete. So construction is advancing well. The project is kept on time, on budget for first gold delivered in May, June 2023. We have largely de-risked the project, as you can imagine, being almost 80% complete by now.
Mhm.
So, the riskier components of construction are excavations, no? We're basically complete with all major excavations for the project. Then follows placement of concrete. It's not a large scope, 5,000 cubic meters, and we're 70% complete with placement of concrete. In the month of August, we started with the erection of structural steel. That's advancing well. 80% of all the equipment packages are either on site or on the water.
Mhm.
The power station, we have a power line running right through the property. So we'll be drawing power, even though we are, 10 hours away from the economic center of Abidjan, driving 10 hours. We have a power line running right through the property. So we'll be drawing power for 11 cents per kilowatt hour. And the power station is basically 90% complete. And we're right now working on the actual interconnection to the grid, which should be completed in November.
Okay.
So the project is advancing very well. We are happy with the level of de-risking that we are achieving. And looking forward for first gold. The actual mining should be starting early next year. We expect the mine fleet to start arriving in November.
Okay. No, okay.
And to share a bit more on the project itself, Lindero, sorry, not Lindero, Séguéla sits on the most productive rocks in West Africa, which are called the Birimian Greenstone Belt. That geology hosts the major gold deposits in West Africa. And we have 30 kilometers of that Birimian greenstone in our property. We have a significant property, and we control the entire trend where we sit. We have 5 deposits identified, and a centralized mill, which is the one we're building. And we continue making discoveries. Earlier this year, we announced the discovery of a new ore body called Sandberg, and we published a maiden inferred resource estimation for that one with 350,000 ounces of gold at around 3.6 grams per ton. I invite you to look at the news release we put out 2-3 days ago in anticipation to the Denver to the Gold Forum where I'm today. That's where I'm taking the call at the Gold Forum.
Yeah.
So in anticipation to the Gold Forum, we put out some updates on exploration, and I invite you to look at those. And we go in detail on the success we're having with the exploration at this one property.
Now, okay, I want to recap a few things here, just because I like to explain why I wanted you on the show today. And and people are more cautious with their capital today, as they should be. And so we're seeing a lot more appetite for anything with cash flow, anything with yield, right? And what I see in Fortuna is a strong track record and a strong track record of cash flow. Investors are also more concerned about jurisdictional risk. And again, they should be, right? And so in Fortuna, I see 4 producing assets in 4 separate jurisdictions. And what that does, it just provides us some insurance, right? Nobody can predict the future, right? So it's nice to have it's nice to hedge your bets a little bit. But I like that you focus on the long-term trend. Yeah, there's some near-term political instability in Peru, but what's the long-term trend in Peru? It's incredibly mining favorable, as is Burkina Faso, as is Argentina, as is Mexico, right? And so if we can detach yourself from the immediate noise and look at the long-term trend, what is that in the country? And you've been very strategic, picking jurisdictions that support that. You're in the right neighborhoods, and then therefore surrounded by the right neighbors. Dialing back to your comments about Burkina Faso, companies like Barrick, companies like Anglo, companies like B2 already putting down claims there for the right reasons. And then always what retail investors want to know is, okay, that's all great, but what's going to make the share price go up? What's the upside for me, right? And that's where what could be, if we end up hitting our targets here, could end up being your flagship property in Séguéla, right? if we're looking at 130,000 ounces of gold per year, high margin, this would be your biggest producing gold asset.
Absolutely. Séguéla is a flagship asset for the company.
Yeah.
And to understand why, we can break it down in its components. One, life of reserves, 10 years plus as we see today, and with tremendous upside on the exploration to continue expanding the life of mine. Second, low cost, under $1,000 all-in sustaining cost. That's what's in our feasibility study. The internal rate of return or an investment at Séguéla using $1,600 gold is in the mid to high 30s. Payback is under 2 years. Modest capital demands. So, we have a fortress balance sheet. We run the business with very little debt leverage. So, we are going through the construction without, challenging or placing the company at risk from the financial perspective. And meaningful production at the asset level. No, I think 130,000 ounces for the initial years in that range is a base, and I believe there are opportunities to improve on that based on the success we're enjoying with exploration. So it is our flagship property, no doubt, and one that will continue to give and be relevant for a decade plus. So that is a catalyst for value, and the market is not paying attention. Where, as I said, 78% complete with construction as we speak today, and the market is not paying attention. No, so you need a contrarian to come in.
Well, I mean, your pain is our opportunity, Jorge. When we see opportunities like this to buy companies like Fortuna at smashed prices. You don't have to go super deep into the exploration, high risk business, right, to realize some great opportunities. And I'm really excited to get you on today for that reason. I think Fortuna is a very smart place for capital for everything, all the reasons we discussed today. And if we're looking at getting Séguéla in production by mid-2023, what's the near-term news event? Like, what can investors, prospective shareholders who have you on the watch list now, and they're, what's the next material news event that investors can look forward to?
Yeah. First, I would say to any investor, right, look at quarterly performance, no, and that's just with any company, but particularly in this business, no. So we've been having steady, predictable quarterly delivery on production, on ounces produced, on metal output, and cost. Particularly, this is relevant because of the inflationary pressures we're in. So, we are producing the ounces we guided, and where our cost is within our guidance range, right? So the quarter end, Q3 is coming to an end, so or soon after the quarter is over, in early October, we'll be putting out our production release for the quarter, for the 9 months, and that will be followed with financial results, right, in late October.
Yeah.
So that's one. With respect to Séguéla, two things. One, milestones for the construction. One would be arrival of the ball mill, which is ball mill is the critical path, interconnection to the power line, having power on site, drawing from the grid, start of mining in early 2023, January, February, we should start excavations and getting ore off the ground and stockpiling in preparation for production. And then first gold in May, June of next year, right? So those are the construction milestones, I would say. Again, arrival of the critical path item, which is the ball mill, interconnection to the grid, and start of mining. And on the exploration side, Séguéla presents a ton of high value opportunities to continue expanding the resource, and we continue harvesting those. So we are publishing regular news releases, trying to keep the market current with how successful we are being expanding the resources at that one project, at this one mine. Yep.
Okay, so I want to have you back on maybe in November when financials have come out. We've seen Q3 results and company financials, and then as we move closer to I guess excavation at the beginning of the year, and then obviously ideally first gold in May, June of 2023. Look, it's an exciting time to look at Fortuna. I'm excited that you came on the show. I do appreciate your time, Jorge. Haven't had you on before. Honor for me to get you in front of my audience and allowing me to pick your brain a little bit. So I appreciate your time.
No, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to present the company to you and your audience. Absolutely.
All right, thank you for watching this interview. Now, 3 things before I let you go. Number 1, I publish a weekly newsletter and I love writing it. I share my biggest takeaways and action items from the conversations that I have on this channel. In addition, my thoughts on current events, economic events, political events, and you can subscribe for free. Just hit the pinned comment right beneath this video, or just go to jmartin.club and you can subscribe on the website. I'd love to have you join the team. Number 2, ad revenue from this channel is donated to an organization that is super close to my heart called Zero Ceiling. Now, Zero Ceiling's mission is to end youth homelessness, and the way they do this is by giving at-risk urban youth the opportunity to relocate to beautiful wilderness areas and then provide them with supportive housing, career training, and just generally positive influences on their life. I love what they do. Check them out if you're interested. And number 3, if you prefer to listen to my content as opposed to watch it, you can find me wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The J. Martin Show. All right, thanks again.